Alright, before the video, I just wanted to point out that this test removes the fuel filter. So if the filter is clogged, this test won't show that. And if the system is suspected of being contaminated with debris, then this test may not be a good idea since, again, it removes the fuel filter. And when you remove the fuel filter, it's likely going to start siphoning gas out of the tank, so you're going to have to deal with that. And then I used high-pressure rubber fuel line. You could probably get away with regular fuel line since it should only be about 14 psi, and that would be a lot easier to get slipped over the hard line. And with that, we can get back to the video. All right, I thought this was a clever idea. So this is under a 92 S10. Looking at the fuel filter here, it's on the driver's side frame rail just before the diff. And there's no port on a TBI to check fuel pressure on, so you have to find a way to plumb in your own port to hook a gauge to. And the easiest way I can come up with that is I pulled the fuel filter and I took this little contraption here. It's 3/8 fuel line on either side, rated for fuel injection, so it's kind of a pain to get onto this line. Because this line has O-rings on it, so there's a, I don't know what you want to call it, kind of a collar or a shoulder for the O-ring to rest against. So I got the rubber line, pushed over that, and then put a clamp on it. So both sides, so this was in place of the fuel filter. And so what all this is that it's a piece of 3/8 aluminum line. So the aluminum is soft enough, maybe it'd work with steel line, I don't know. But the aluminum line was soft enough that this, I don't know the name of this fitting, but what this is it has a little rod that pierces through whatever you clamp this fitting onto. So that rod pierced through the aluminum hard line. Whenever you tighten this nut up, it just shoves that piercing rod through the line. So that way, fluid can flow through it into this Schrader valve. So when you have this whole thing sitting in here, you can then get your fuel pressure gauge that has a Schrader deal on the end of it, fitting on the end of it, and screw it on there. Turn the fuel pump on, you'll get fuel pressure through here. The fuel pressure will run through this fitting to the valve, and then you can hook your gauge onto it and get a reading. So pretty easy. Seemed to work just fine. This one checked out at 14 psi, so I think that's pretty good. So anyways, thought that might be helpful. So thankfully I didn't have low fuel pressure, but if I did, my next plan was to start clamping down on this rubber line and see where the fuel pressure ended up. So by slowly clamping down on the line, if I was never able to get the fuel pressure where it was supposed to be, even with the pump deadheading, that would suggest to me that the pump is worn out and that the pump is actually the problem. Now, if clamping down on the line just a little bit got the pressure where it was supposed to be, then that might suggest to me that the fuel pressure regulator might be the problem. So anyways, thankfully didn't have to mess with that, but there is that afterthought. Anyways, thanks for watching.